You are watching Qtv News and I am Ajibinto Drame. There is only one place to start with, the sports news. Football history was made on when Gambia beat Angola 1-0 to secure a maiden spot at the African Cup of Nations. We start with a special message from His Excellency the President about this special day.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for speaking to us here on this live broadcast after a historic day in Gambian football. The Gambia has finally qualified to its maiden AFCON tournament. Being the President of the Republic, how do you feel at this moment?
Thank you very much for correcting me on the line. I am really excited. I am happy. I am on holidays in Mankamakunda, but I was following the match online. I think everybody is happy. Exactly the same with me and my family. We are all very, very happy. But I will seize this opportunity to thank the team, the captain, the coach, the management, and the entire GFA and the Gambian people. This is a great day in the history of this country. I think we waited so long, and I'm a big football fan. I have been following football since in the 70s. Where we have the Biri, the Laos, you understand, the Keva Dias and the others. But we tried and tried and tried. We were not able to succeed in qualifying for the African Cup of Nations. But this is the first time we are qualifying for African Cup of Nations. I think this is great, and this is big in the history of this country. We will never forget this day. But we are encouraging the boys to remain as a team. I think teamwork is very, very important. And if you are patient, the most patient dog is the most fat bone. I think that is key and it's important.
Well, like you said, you've been following football from the days of Biri Biri and many others, and then you said it's quite historic for the country today. What do you think has made this difference, saying the Gambia qualified today?
I think the difference is the boys were able to work together. I think they were also very, very patient. And the Gambian people were also behind them. And the entire government. This is the first time that Gambia is hiring aeroplanes for our footballers, for our sportsmen. I think there was a big encouragement and there was support. People were together as far as the team is concerned. I think in the football there is no politics. Where we are all united. We are all behind the team. I think that is why the boys were able to succeed today. But we have to thank them for the hard work.
So what do you think should be the next move now that we have qualified to the AFCON tournament? Preparations are expected to commence soon. So what assurance are you giving to the team?
Let us remain together. Let us all support the team, government and the entire Gambian people. And the team also remain as a team. Teamwork is very, very important. But we want to assure them that with our support from government, the sky is the limit.
Well, now on the phone with Mohamed Jah, the CEO of the Q Group. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Victory and history was made by the Scorpions today. And what do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much for calling me. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank President Barrow and the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, and the entire cabinet, especially the line minister, who is Minister Bakari Badji, the entire government of the Gambia. I would also want to take this opportunity to also congratulate the president of the GFF, Gambia Football Association, Lamin Kaba Bajo, and also the vice president, first vice president Bakari Jame, second vice president Ibu Fai. As well, I would like to take the opportunity to also thank and congratulate the head coach, Tom Senfit, and his entire coaching staff. Also the Scorpion Fans Club and all the sponsors and the general public. I think this is a great day for Gambia, but I just want to remind Gambians that since 2018, the GFF and the entire coaching fraternity of the national teams, both under 17, under 20, and the main team have been doing very good strides, and Gambians should recognize that. And we will remember that in 2018, we won the under 20 Wafu Cup in Liberia. And in 2020, we won it again in Senegal. And just recently, we won under 20 Africa Cup of Nations. Well, we were third in Mauritania for the under 20 Africa Cup of Nations. And today, we are so excited to be qualified to the African Cup of Nations for the first time in the history of Gambia. So what I want to say really is that as a football fan and also the chairman of the Q Group and by extension the Q Group Academy or the Q City Academy, which was established some 4 or 5 years ago. And the main objective, what we told the young kids at the time, which we took them around the age of 10 and 11, is that we were nurturing them to build a World Cup team. We never told them that we are building a Zone 2 or an African Cup of Nations team. We told them that we want Gambia to go to World Cup. And I think the GFF have been working on that. Today, I think all Gambians will appreciate the fact that we're not going to look back to Zone 2 anymore. We are now an African Cup of Nations, and I think our eyes should set to go to World Cup. And to be able to do that, we have to, as the coach rightly said today, we all have to join hands and support and give positive views and stop the criticisms and so on. I think that the boys and the entire nation now, what we need from now onwards is really the support and to give positive recommendations or suggestions to GFF or the coach. So for us, we are really happy, at the Q Group level, and we believe that the boys, we would like to congratulate them today. They've made everybody proud, and that is why, I'm coming in as a fan and also as somebody who thinks that Gambia has the opportunity, or Gambia is capable to go to World Cup. I have always said it. Our neighbors have been in World Cup twice. There is no reason why we cannot go to World Cup. We are eating the same food. We have the same surnames. We even have the same languages. So what we need also from government is to look at how they can support the academies. Now, for the past 5-6 years, you can see there is so many academies in the country. And we have to recognize them and support them. Because from these academies, we will pull out the best players to take Gambia to the highest levels. Now we don't pick players. Nobody picks a player from the street. You pick it from academy. And we know that it's very expensive. We are already in that. It's very expensive to have an academy and give the right materials and give the right training to everybody. So I would just like to draw that attention to the government that, yes, we have gone one step going to African Cup of Nations. But if we want to continue in this path, we have to look at how we can support the academies and support the zones and so on, so that we can have more players. We can produce more players, not only for World Cup, but we can produce players which will go for professional in Europe, in America, all over the world. And I'm telling you that will change the economy of Gambia.
Well said, Mr. Jah. Thank you very much for joining us once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling me. Thank you.
Well, now let's look at other news. It seems almost every election in recent times has ended with claims of fraud, foul play or lack of transparency. A 2-day sensitization for election officials and law enforcement officers organized by the Gambia Press Union and funded by the National Endowment for Democracy is underway to improve transparency and accountability in the election process. Loli M. Kamara reports.
Access to election-related information is critical to the integrity of electoral processes in a democracy, as it empowers the electorate to be well informed about political processes, taking into account their best interests, and to hold public officials accountable. In this regard, stakeholders from the media, civil society, the IEC's management and law enforcement officers came together to be made aware of the importance of such accountability and to monitor preparations for the upcoming elections. Speaking to journalists at the end of the opening, Sirif Bojan Jr., president of the Gambia Press Union, highlighted the need and importance of this training, adding that it is part of GPU's project and remit to promote transparency and accountability in elections.
We feel that these two stakeholders, members, staff of the National Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, and the security forces are key stakeholders in our electoral cycle. This is a very critical year in the Gambia. This is an election year, and the citizens, in their quest to make informed choices, will have to benefit from transparency, accountability throughout the entire process. And we feel that first the Electoral Commission, the IEC, nobody can do this better than the IEC, and the significance of the IEC in this regard cannot be less strong than anyone else.
He further added that people need to be informed in order to be able to take right decisions and choices.
In dealing with the issue of transparency and accountability, there is always the security forces between those who inform, the journalists in particular, and the citizenry. There will be security forces all over the place, and this is why we feel that it is important that we train security forces, members of the Gambia Armed Forces and the police forces, on the significance of accountability and transparency in relation to access to information.
Aliu Momanjai, the IEC chairman, explains in detail the role of the media in an election period, adding that they are key players during and after elections, but also states the situation of Gambians in the diaspora with regards to voting.
And they can prove that they are Gambians. They will register. The question now, if you have because other countries who do that, don't mind whether you have double nationality or not. You are allowed to vote. Because as a Gambian, when you are there to legalize to stay here, you take another nationality. But that does not deprive you from being a Gambian.
John Charles Njai, chairperson, Civil Society Coalition on Access to Information Bill, and Mustafa Sow, a participant, all spoke on the importance of holding such important training and are hopeful that the narrative will change. At the end of the 2 days training, we hope to see the 2021 and subsequent elections held in a free, fair and transparent environment. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Still on to Gambia's victory, and joined by my colleague Aliu Sisi, who is at Westfield, to tell us more about this historic day. Aliu?
Thank you very much, Ajay Bindu Drame. If you just get me loud and clear, I am here at Westfield, where hundreds of Gambians have stormed Westfield to celebrate a day, a very historic day in the history of the country. A day when the Gambia has qualified for its maiden AFCON tournament. The Gambia beat Angola this evening 1-0, courtesy of SNCC's only goal in this crucial game today. As you can see here at Westfield, people have come out in their numbers just to celebrate. This thing as well reminds us back in 2005 when the Gambia under-17 won that tournament. And as you can see from my background, people are here in their numbers just to celebrate, jubilate. It is historic in the annals of this country. The Gambia is making it to the AFCON tournament for the first time. 2022 in Cameroon, Gambia will be represented. A quite historic day for the country. The younger generation, both male and female, young and old, are here at Westfield to celebrate. And of course, it's a historic, as I said, it's a historic day, not only for the fans, but even the footballers, the football administration, and even the President of the Republic, who had earlier spoke to us during a live panel discussion we had this evening. So it is quite important. We'll just go around, try to speak to some of the fans who are there, and just sound their opinions. What's your name?
My name is Raymond Peter Jaju.
Raymond, you are here at Westfield. How do you feel today?
Okay, I am so glad to hear to see the youths coming around to Westfield and jubilate this big history of football of Gambia. We have done it again. The boys have done it. Yes, it's a big honor for the coach also.
So how do you feel witnessing this game, this event today, all of you? How do you feel?
Mol content bagale boy. Ke boli atray bagale no. Mol be duale boy. Alam.
Kese len buga bro. Ko bi kese. You swat ko sibir teka bi boy. Lol len buga. I want to tell the boys, we are so happy today tonight. We are so happy and we waiting for this net long time ago. So we happy today. We are happy.
Well, Ajib been to that is the reaction here. People are quite happy, quite elated, witnessing this historic day in the history of Gambian football. There's no pan here. What's your name?
I'm Siru.
Basiru, how do you feel today? You are wearing, the Gambian flag. How do you feel today witnessing Gambia making to the AFCON tournament for the first time?
Very proud, man. We thank God for everything. And we are praying that, we go up to the final. Up to the finals, man. We have been struggling for a long time, boy. Some of our friends, when we are going to watch match, they will tell you that, when you go, you will win. Boy, one day, we always keep the momentum, Anytime Gambia is playing, we go and watch, And today is the day today. Today is the day. We are happy. We are happy, man. We are praying that we go up to the final, man.
Wow.
You want them on the stadium. You them touch the stadium today.
No, that's not relevant. Ajib.
We have made history because Gambia have never done this. Okay. So this is the first time. We are very happy. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to say that I have Sol here. Sol, a very historic day in the history of this country. You are here, Sol. How do you feel today witnessing the Gambia making the AFCON tournament for the first time?
Super excited, and I am congratulating everyone, and I am congratulating the whole Gambia. Aliu, you've played your part, because this is a historic moment, but we must remember the people who actually played part. And we wish people like Biri Njai was here to celebrate with us, and also all the legends that crave for Gambia to appear in the AFCON. We are proud and very, very happy that this young generation has taken us to the next level. And we are congratulating everyone who participated. And this is for the whole Gambia. Let's celebrate.
What is next now, Sol?
Well, next is Cameroon. We are coming. Everyone is coming. And Aliu, we are not going to leave anyone behind. Congratulations, Gambia.
Thank you so much. That is Sol. That is Sol. So they are speaking to us. I mean, as he said, he has sent a warning to Cameroon that Gambia is coming for the first time, and then they are coming to make a difference. Gambia is not coming just to make the numbers, but they are coming to prove doubters wrong. As I said, people are still here. What's your message you have?
I have to launch a message. Now Gambia has qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Now the big thing to organize is Gambia must make a very early preparation for the Cup of Nations, so that we can able to reach our what we want, like semi-final or even the final. So today we are in the history. We have made history. Gambia, this is the first time Gambia has been waiting for a long while. So today we have done it.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we are still at Westfield. As I said, Gambians have come out in their numbers, of course, to celebrate something that is worth celebrating, something that is historic in the annals of this country. The Vuvuzelas reminds us of South Africa. But like I said, it's a jubilant moment here at Westfield. It's quite difficult to hear me. That is exactly what is happening here. You cannot really control the crowd, because how they feel as far as this day is concerned in the annals of football in this country.
Quite a jubilation down there. And congratulations to the Scorpions. Meanwhile, the University of the Gambia, with support from the United Nations Development Programme and the Turkish government, on Wednesday launched its first ever career guidance and counseling center, as they also inaugurated the main university library. Yaya Jallo reports.
Career counseling and guidance are important aspects in the lives of students who often find it difficult to choose a career path during their studies and even after graduation. The main aim of the center is to help students and professionals choose a field in tune with their skills and job expectations, which will ultimately help them succeed. The head of the newly established Career Guidance and Counseling Center, Fatukine Jan Kantar, highlighted the significance of having such an office in the UTG.
It is very good that we now have it, because in every university there should be a counseling, guidance, career, well-being center for students, because students face a lot of issues when they are in the university. Sometimes they need guidance in which courses they have to take. They need sometimes advice in a good career path and how this can lead to their own employment later. And students also go through a lot of stress, as everybody else.
Professor Dr. Fakir Muhammad Anjum, Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, says with the digitally installed e-library gadgets at the new main library, the UTG will now access up to 17,986 journals and books from 5,886 publishers at a subscription fee of $27,000 per annum. This, he says, is an unprecedented development for the UTG and will help boost the research culture of the institution. The Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Badara Diouf, says these two new centers for the country's highest learning institution are an important development for students and staff of the UTG. He challenged all the higher education institutions in the country to use their knowledge and expertise and contribute to the development of the Gambia.
The challenge is to you, the lecturers. It's not only demanding 25% salary increase or 50% salary increase. How do you justify that value added in your research? How do you justify the value added in the plans and the national development plan of this government to make sure that we push forward our development frontiers? That is the challenge for UTG. It's not just a talking shop, but a university that has an applied aspect of it. And the applied aspect of it must be linked to the development needs of this country, to the development of the people of this country.
Delivering the vote of thanks on behalf of the students, Usman Jazi, president of the 19th Executive Council of the UTGSU, had this to say.
This great occasion is symbolic for two reasons. It is both symbolic and it is historic. It is historic that it is the first time in the history of the University of the Gambia to have the first ever counseling and wellness center. And it is symbolic because it's a demonstration and affirmation of the long-term view that University of the Gambia is set for business, and it is already on the pedestrian to compete with other much more advanced universities and other much more advanced countries in the international global community.
The establishment of these two important centers at the UTG is a dream come true, and their proper usage and sustenance will boost the university's capacity to international standard. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
As the Gambia heads to the poll in December 2021, it is important to spread messages of peace to prevent conflict. We have seen how the failure to do this has impacted many African countries. Action Aid, the Gambia is currently developing peace-related messages with the help of media and communications personnel. Jidaba Sonko, who attended the event with Alassane Jallow, narrates the story.
The project, Strengthening Inclusive Citizen Engagement for More Accountable Governance in the Gambia 2020-2021, is a timely project considering the Gambia heads to the polls in December to select new leadership or maintain the current one. Elections can be a catalyst for conflict, and apart from elections, issues such as land disputes, tribal and nationality conflicts, as seen in the recent Sanyang incident, can happen. Peaceful messages through the media can greatly help lessen such incidences. There are key areas these messages will focus on, and Omar Baji, the Executive Director of Action Aid, elaborates.
The following principles are important in democracy. One is accountability, taking responsibility for your actions. It's very important. Transparency, that anything that we do, we should not do it be under the table. Put it on the table so that everybody knows what is happening and everybody takes part in it. And inclusiveness that ensure that everybody who has a stake in the issue is part of it, and participation. So these are the four principles, of course, among many other principles that I'm sure you will actually identify and use. But these four principles are very critical.
Negative messages on media platforms have a huge potential to cause protests or any form of violence as seen during the U.S. elections due to the messages shared on former President Trump's Twitter. Participants have a task to come up with relevant and culturally sensitive messages for the general public. Journalist Sana Kamara says they have what it takes to come up with it.
What happens is, in the past, we will have other experts that are not related to media coming in and then acting in our name, and they tend to be doing our work for us. It is difficult when you want to become a journalist and you're not a journalist. Now, since we are here as media, we understand what channels we're going to use that will be most effective to reach these people. Now, the media is diverse as we speak now. Before it was, remember in the former government, we had only one television. And now there are a lot of private televisions. In the former government, there was controlled social media activity. Now they are very free and they are diverse and they are as effective as any other media. Now we have more community radios, we have more other commercial radios. So all we need to do is just put the wheels in motion. The sensitization or the education will be more effective now than it had succeeded in the past.
The project is funded by UNFPA and will be implemented in 4 different regions in the country. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
After nearly 5 years of Adama Barrow's government, prisons' conditions have registered some reforms but are still faced with serious challenges in terms of decent accommodation, sanitation and rehabilitation. This has come out in mini-video documentary featuring our central prisons by the United Nations Development Programme in partnership with the Gambia government. Mobdula Minchoy tells us more.
This is the Gambia Central Prison at Mile 2, a place that for 2 decades during Yahya Jammeh's tenure had been a center of state-sanctioned torture and alleged killings, until the coming of a new government in 2017 that promised to implement a reform agenda for our prisons. Nearly 5 years on, it is confirmed that some progress has been registered, but we are still a long way away from getting it right. A prison inmate in this documentary speaks on behalf of fellow inmates.
For 22 years, this prison, Mile 2, has been the epicenter of Jammeh's cruelty, the darkest period of Gambian history. And this government needs to take this prison away from that image and make it into a normal prison. With the new administration, things are getting better, but of course there's room for improvement. The extremely oppressive atmosphere we had between inmates and staff is abating. It's not as bad as it used to be.
In a democratic country with good governance, prisons are supposed to be correctional centers where inmates are entitled to proper accommodation, food, shelter, sanitation for their well-being. However, proper sanitation and accommodation for most of prisons' inmates remain a dream.
The toilet facilities are the same as they used to be. It's just still horrible. A high percentage of the food that is served here, especially the dinner, is thrown away instantly, not even served to the prisoners, because once they come in, we just throw it away. Sanitation conditions, there's a swamp or bog at the back here. It's, insect infested. It's still there and it's still insect infested. There's a dump site there where they burn the garbage frequently, and the stench from there is just horrendous.
The Gambia appears to be witnessing an increase in crime rates leading to prosecutions and sentencing by the courts. But with 3 prison facilities that are without adequate accommodation, overcrowding has become the only option.
The capacity of these prisons we are meant to, especially Mile 2, was meant to accommodate nothing more than 300. But the increase in crime today, we are accommodating more than that number, double that number.
Challenges remain in place. However, through government commitments and support from partners like the UNDP, UNOC, and the GCCI, there are now ongoing reforms to transform the prisons into a proper rehabilitation center.
Previously, the feeding aspect of the prisons was very poor. But now there has been a great improvement, thereby it has even reflected to the health of the inmates. Also, the privileges that were not given to the inmates before are now also been given, because previously prisoners who were sentenced to death were not allowed any visit, but equally now a monthly visit is accorded to all the inmates.
To uphold democratic values and the rule of law and good governance, Gambia will need to adjust to the needs of inmates by taking actions to improve their lives up to international standards.
People here deserve to be treated within the framework of the Gambian values that we know were suspended during those 22 years, and that is what we want this place to be.
The prisons are part of the justice delivery mechanism for any country, where anyone could find themselves, sometimes due to unforeseen circumstances. When one becomes a prisoner, it is the state's obligation to protect their rights and human dignity and to rehabilitate them for a prospective reintegration back into society. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
Well, that's it from me in tonight's bulletin. Thank you for watching and join us tomorrow for another bulletin. Thank you.